Your brand is everything you do and everything you don't do that leaves an impression with someone else. So, hello and welcome to this week's training from the Coaches Plaza. My name is Amanda Kaufman. Today we are talking personal branding. And if you can see me and hear me, let me know in the chat. I hope you're having an amazing day. It's Indigenous Peoples Day here in the US, and I am so excited to talk to you about breaking through noise. And I hope I'm talking to you maybe from bed, or maybe you're having like an extended breakfast or something. I hope you are positively affected by this holiday in the United States. And as always, folks, you can see me now. If you want the full training replay, just make sure you go to our Clients Over Chaos community. That's at next5clients.com. Just open any browser, go to next5clients.com, and you can get this and every weekly replay that I've done ever since we moved into the Clients Over Chaos community for our weekly trainings, which is like a lot. We've talked, goodness, I've been working on a series. This is series, this is at least number 13. So you're going to find like 13 awesome trainings every week for you to be able to participate in. Okay, let's get this party started. All right. One of my coaches used to say whenever she went live, she was like, "Don't be a creeper." I love it. Okay, so this week we're talking about cutting through the noise. And, if you've been building a business for a while, or you've even been hovering around the idea of like, I need to expand my network. If that's you, shout a number one in the chat that you need to expand your network for people that you can genuinely help. Today, we're going to talk about how do you like lovingly expand your network. I know a lot of people, they know they're supposed to post more on social media. You know that you're supposed to host live events. You know you're supposed to do maybe like a challenge or a webinar. You're like a teenage kid saying to your mom, I know, right? Like it's not a secret. So shout it too if you know that. But today I'm going to be helping you. I'm going to be helping you with how do you break through the noise for realsies, especially in 2025. Because here's the real deal on that. It's just not enough. You know what you've been told. It's not enough to just post to social media and like hope for the best. And then there's people that are like, "Oh, that's not enough. You've got to have a whole social media strategy." Now, I'm here to tell you, social media alone is not going to build you a business. But Amanda, you're speaking to me over social media. The cognitive dissonance. I cannot even. I know. I know. I was sold the bill of goods too that if I'm just consistent enough, if I'm just reliable enough, if I'm just disciplined enough, then I will have a business that pays me a lot of money. Y'all, I want to tell you the truth about it. And the truth is that coaching is one of the fastest growing industries. Did you know that? It's like the fastest. And that means a lot more noise. So here's the good news. It's not just growing in terms of the number of people becoming coaches, but also it's growing in demand. I'm working on some partnerships right now where it's literally every day there's somebody else saying, I need you to come in and coach my leaders. I need you to come in and help my team through a transition. Like, there's more work for coaches to do than there are coaches to do it, even with the number of people that are actually coming in. And if you're like, oh no, I say, oh yes, right? That means there's a huge amount of opportunities. But here's the thing, there's another force that is really affecting why you need to be good at marketing and personal branding and connection and all the things that I teach you here inside the Coaches Plaza and inside of our programs like the Experts Network. The thing that you need to know is that it is a low barrier to entry profession with a very high barrier to success. So what the hell do I mean by that? Oh heck, what the heck do I mean by that on a Monday, on a holiday Monday? Well, let me tell you, if you start out as a mindset coach and you just like, I am the prettiest mindset coach. I have my pretty mindset coach banner and I got my pretty mind and I got my clever name and I'm going to put that on the internet and then all the people are going to find out how fabulous I am. Shout an X in the chat if you have a friend. I'm not saying you have to confess this, but if you have a friend who was just like a little delulu about how easy it was going to be. I know I was. Way back in 2016 and 17 when I was starting my business, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go to like WordPress. I'll get like a fabulous template. I made it uglier. I don't know how that happened, but I got a fabulous template, got that mobilized, and then I kind of looked left and looked right, and I was like, now what? Right? Because nobody was going to the website. And then I found out, well, nobody really buys from a website. And I was like, so here's a rude thing about personal branding you need to know right off the top. It's not your colors. It's not your logo. It's not, it's not the cute turns of phrase that you use. It's not your proprietary frameworks. It's not your certification that gives you like, all the best techniques for coaching. It's none of that. Your brand is actually all of that plus like a million other things. So let me break this down really, really quick. A personal brand is basically when you leave the room or when one leaves your live stream or stops reading your social media, they move on with their lives. I always think of it as like the scent you leave behind, right? It's the memory. I think about Maya Angelou's quote, people will forget what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Do you like that one too, right? But brand really is about creating a lasting feeling with people that they have a memory of you that is ideally positive. They have what I call affinity. Affinity. So affinity is like I like you. Right? I like you. I want to be associated with someone like you. That's kind of what you're after. So branding has a lot less to do with the logo that you choose or the name of your brand, the name of your business or anything, and it's more about what's the enduring relationship that someone is forming with what you do and how you show up in the world. So there's like your personal brand. So this is like how you, the person, show up. And then there's like your company brand. So the company brand is like, for example, in my business, I've got the Coaches Plaza, right? And that's a brand that I've built over the past several years. That's like it means certain things, right? And here's the thing that everybody's afraid of when we talk about branding. They're so scared of getting it wrong. I was so scared of getting branding wrong that I was like anti-brand for a minute there. I was like, branding, gross. That's just a tool of deception that the devil uses to get your wallet to open. I was I was so against it, but what I didn't understand is literally everything that I did and did not do. This is why it's such a bananas concept and hard to wrap your head around. Your brand is everything you do and everything you don't do that leaves an impression with someone else. Damn, that's a good definition. Did anybody write that down? Because, like, that's basically what it is. It's everything you do and everything you don't do that leaves an impression of you. So, you've probably heard, especially like in the political feeds, people talking about, like, well, if you don't say something, that's saying something. Yeah, right? It is. So that's brand. And here's the really nutty professor thing that's like super hard about brand. You can't say everything about everything all the time. You are limited, right? Like this is it's an infinite concept with finite input from you. Does that make sense? Like it's an infinite concept, but then there's finite input from you. So here, let's like take this big idea and let's make it actionable today. That's my goal. And I'm going to take you through a three-part process for that. And then I'm going to ask you some questions to just kind of help you really think about this in a different way. And then at the end, I have something really, really cool that we're starting next week. That's a live coaching kind of an opportunity that if you're in the Experts Network, you're going to freaking love it. If you're not in the Experts Network, this is like the best time to join because it's going to be epic. So I'm going to walk through that as well. Yeah. Yeah, it's what I do and it's what I don't do that leaves an impression of me, right? So, what would you say? I have an answer for this, but I want to know from your perspective, what would you say is like one of the first things you really look for in a coach? And I don't want you to think about yourself. I want you to think about like people you hire, people you consider hiring, people you've worked with that you really liked. Like, what would you say are some of the things that make that person someone you would like, know, trust? You have high affinity. You like them. You want to be associated with them, right? So for me, whenever I think about that, I'm like, oh, Brendon Burchard. I love that man, right? I've never kept it a secret. I won't keep it a secret. He's awesome. But I think some of the things that I really like about him is he always projects confidence. So you tell me in the chat what you really look for. I look for confidence. I look for conviction. So conviction being like, I want my coach, I want somebody who I'm following, I want them to have reasonable confidence and conviction in the direction that they're going or they're leading me, right? So, what goes into conviction? Well, I would say that for the coaches that I've worked with, the ones that have a really high conviction, it's like they seem to know what is causing success or have a pretty good idea of it, and they have a lot of experience usually, right? So maybe you're just like thinking super hard and I'm asking too much on a social channel on a Monday, on a holiday Monday. But like really think about this. Trustworthiness, that's so imperative. So one of the things about Brendon that I really like is he shares his opinions, but he doesn't, right? Like he doesn't share the specifics of anybody that he's ever talking about. He's sharing the lesson, not the gossip. I super can't stand gossip. Like if a coach is really gossipy, the likelihood of me hiring that person diminishes to zero, like super fast. Like and they don't even have to be gossiping about me. If I just hear them speaking in disparaging terms to other people for entertainment purposes, I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to hire you, right? And it's just because I don't trust you, right? I don't trust you to say good things, behind my back. So why would I say secret things in front of you? You know what I'm saying? Like branding comes comes down to um a lot of these things. Okay, Annie, you're playing along and I love you for it. Okay, so here's what she said. She said they laugh, they're excited, I love high energy, they look me in the eye, they're responsive. Absolutely. Yes. These are all very good indicators. So all of these things though, all these judgments that you have that are positive judgments, these positive judgments are on the, and I just realized I'm on the Wi-Fi. I'm sharing it between two streams and that sucks. So hang on a second. Got to fix it on the gram. Okay. So they're responsive. The way you know that is by their behavior. That's like the biggest writer downer. Like if you have the dog bark and the doorbell ringing and something burning on the stove and you got to leave this live, the reason you think that about the people you like is because of their demonstrated behavior over time. Yep. And so branding, I would say the biggest tool you actually have is behavior. So when you look at behavior and you look at the behaviors that engender trust, engender enthusiasm, engender confidence, engender like all of these different things, the behaviors that a new coach typically have are often opposite land, aren't they? Right? They're shy, they hide, they don't say anything funny, right? Because they're scared of being judged all the time. Goodness, I could go all day on this, but like behavior wise, their life is a big secret. And when they don't share anything that's good that's happening in their life or anything that's challenging that they've ever figured out, then we're like, oh, so this person's reputation for being perfect is probably more important than really sharing something that's of value. Do you see how this is all brand? It's everything you do and everything you don't do. And for new coaches is usually what you don't do. You don't post, you don't show up, you don't say hi, you don't walk up to people, you don't have your head held high, your shoulders back. And all of those behaviors project a brand of somebody who doesn't want business, who's kind of shifty, who's who's maybe not trustworthy, right? So what do we have to do to fix that? It's flipping it. It's flipping it. So if you're more visible, then that gives people something else to react to. If you're more consistent, then that gives some people more to react to. They're like, okay, well, I can trust this person because they've been consistent for like years, right? Okay, so those are a couple of things. They can share an opinion, they can apologize, they can fix things, right? These are all things that help us make up our mind whether we want to have affinity or not. So remember, affinity is like how much attraction I'm going to have to wanting to spend time or be associated with this other person. Yeah, so Malay shared some more. They're transparent, they don't gatekeep, they're honest, they're real time. Yes, responsive, patient, and kind. Yeah. So I love those. And those are some of the things that we try to do at the Coaches Plaza as well. So I want to give you like three core pillars of a powerful personal brand. Okay. And here's how you're going to start building a personal brand that really breaks through. Because posting like a maniac won't do it if what you're posting is generic drivel, right? Hosting a webinar is not going to do it if nobody knows about your webinar. These things all work together. It's an ecosystem. So I post pretty consistently, but guess what? I use the power of AI workflows to help me to craft content that is original, but very, very aligned to this first thing. So this first thing is number one, clarity. Okay. Clarity. So let's unpack this just a little bit. When you have clarity about what you stand for, what you don't stand for, and who you're here to help and how you want to help them, branding is easy. Branding is easy. The problem is that none of those things are easy, at least for most new coaches and for coaches that are expanding and growing, right? Because some people, they're naturally really gregarious. They're naturally really energized and energetic, and they're very extroverted, and they're like, they've never met a stranger. So for them, it's like pretty easy to form another relationship, but they still hit a ceiling. Why? They're hitting a ceiling because they don't have clarity about what they really stand for and what they don't stand for. So they tolerate everything. And when other people are choosing, do I want to have affinity with this person? They're like, well, I don't know what they're about. I don't know what they're for. I don't know what they're against. I don't know what their mission is. I don't know why that mission is important. So why would I choose that Pikachu? Right? If you want them to choose you, Pikachu, here's the first principle on your clarity. Remember how I said like brand is this infinite concept? It covers everything. It's everything you do and don't do. Well, it's also very polarizing because, and this one was really hard for me because I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted literally everyone to like me. I couldn't understand why someone would ever want to follow me on social media or be on my email list or even enroll in a program of mine and not like me. Like, why would they not? I wanted everybody to like me. But here's the sad, terrible truth. Most people won't. And it's not because of any one thing except people have to make choices about their time and their energy, just like you do, right? So when people have to make choices about their time and their energy, and especially in a social media driven world where people are just like connected to hundreds and hundreds of people, it's like you're probably spending time with like top 5 most likely, maybe top 10, but you're making choices about who to spend time with because you have an abundance of options. Is this making sense, right? Not everybody can choose me because everybody has to choose for themselves. I like you too. Thank you so much for stopping by to say so. Okay. So we don't have to say, I used to say this in a really sad tone. I'm like, oh, you can't make everybody happy. No, don't try to make everyone happy. Don't try it, right? Because that's an impossible, it's a fool's errand. It's not even worth considering whether it's a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. So instead, shine brightly. Shine brightly for those that have the affinity with you. And you're not going to know, by the way, until you shine super bright for a while and you earn their attention. Whew, I'm on fire on them. Look, I got really good coffee today. And I'm telling you what, you got to earn your attention. And so, woo, let's talk about this. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? And look, a lot of people are posting willy-nilly on the social media and they're just like, I'm against all these bad guys. That okay, we'll talk about what you're against in a minute. But first, what are you for? You know, I have like this much time, by the way, for somebody on social media who is all like, these people are evil people, because it doesn't matter how you vote or what you say or how you pray. If you're hating on other people, I'm like, okay, you need more going on in your life. You need more. You need purpose. You need meaning. You need to understand that what you do and say matters. And if you're wasting your precious oxygen by hurling hate, and then you're not volunteering, you're not doing something, you're not creating something, you're not producing something to actually solve the problem, I do not care how you vote, how you pray, what you do. But if you're just complaining because you're looking for connection with other complainers because you need that, don't be a coach. Okay? Being a coach means that you're pretty open-minded, right? You don't have to agree with people, but you do need to see people for what they are and their behavior. And the thing is like, again, it's like the gossip thing. If it's super shallow, if it's super inactionable, and it's all just about making somebody else feel bad, and it's not really about meaningful change, and you're like, whoa, I'm just like telling people. I'm like, great. But like, use your calendar, volunteer your time, use your wallet, donate to causes, right? This drives me crazy. It makes me so nuts. And what people don't understand is that they're building a brand around complaining about their life. And that's what a lot of people are doing when they post these days. And I'm like, no, you got to start with what you're for. What are you for? And you know what? It might even begin in your complaining. It might even start with, like, here's all the things that I'm super against. Flip it. Does that mean you are for the opposite? Are you going to be for the opposite thing? If you're for the opposite thing, here's the harder thing. Say you're for something. Say you're for it, right? If you say you're for it and then your actions and behaviors line up accordingly, guess what? You're building a brand of being for something, right? If you're like, I'll give you a perfect one from the coaching space. If you're always complaining that like coaches are anybody can call themselves a coach. I used to say this, back before I was older and wiser. But I was just like, oh, it's just like so easy to become a coach. And it was cynicism and it was bitterness. And when I said it to other people would go like, yeah, right? But guess what we created together on the basis of that conversation? Bupkis. Nothing. Okay. And a lot of those relationships, I don't even remember the names of the people that I was having that conversation with, to give you an idea of how like not deep that was. When I changed it to coaches deserve to know how to show up with professionalism. Coaches deserve to be taught how to do business. Coaches deserve to understand business topics. Guess what? Now I'm in creation because I'm for something. I am for a coach showing up with credibility. I am for a coach showing up with trustworthiness. I am for a coach having a professional standard. I am for a coach using systems so that they spend more time coaching, less time doing a bunch of other crap, right? Like when I started building my brand around what I was for, I was like, oh my God, guess what? There's trainings around that I could create. There's frameworks I can create around that. I can't create a framework around a dang complaint. My word, right? I can't build a framework around a judgment. Like that's the thing. Here's the piece of the complaining thing. I did not mean to rant on this on a Monday, but my God, it's bad out there. So here's the thing. I make the complaint, right? What am I doing? I'm trying to build separation between me and them. So if I'm building separation between me and my target audience, what the heck, man? Why would anybody expect to create something amazing based on judgment and separation? I don't even understand that math, right? And that was a realization that I had to come to. And then when I realized, I'm like, oh, the power's in building, the power's in deciding what you're for. So what are you for? Is this worth journaling about, y'all? What are you for? And it might start with what you're against. I did not like how willy-nilly a lot of coaches were. I did not like how coaches were taking their prices down to the floor and not hiring accountants, and they weren't hiring lawyers, and they weren't building something they could really stand by, right? Like it was driving me wackadoo. But I had to flip it, right? Exactly. I am for you. I am for you. I'm not against you. Now, does that mean I'm against some behaviors? 1,000%, right? I don't love it when people pitch me through Gmail, right? Like just a free account. I think that shows like that you're not really invested in the business because you're not willing to spend $12 on a domain. So like there's things that I for sure have judgment about, but again, am I being constructive with that, or am I being destructive and separating through that? Okay, I think you get it. Now, in terms of what you're against, this is where I'd like you to be more picky, right? Be more picky. So, when I went through a recent brand refresh exercise, I identified 3 things that are keeping coaches the super most stuck. Coaches and experts and business owners super most stuck. Okay. So there's probably villains that are sabotaging your client's journey. So 3 biggest things that are stopping my best clients from being really successful. Number 1 is the sprawl, right? I've named it. the sprawl. So the sprawl is when they're trying to serve so many masters all at once, they do a bad job. They're trying to run too many strategies all at once. They don't do anything with excellence, and then they beat themselves up over the sprawl, right? And this doesn't just affect them in their mindset, it's also affecting their wallet and their calendar because they're doing so many things all at the same time and they're not focusing in on dialing in to be really excellent on anything. And so that's called the sprawl. The second villain in my brand, the second villain is say nothing, do nothing meetings. My word. You know, when my clients and myself, like this was a villain I identified in my own journey, is like when you spend all your time consuming content, consuming webinars, consuming more, but you don't have a good ratio of activation time. So activating energy, doing the thing, like y'all, right now, I'm doing the dang thing. I'm in a meeting, yes, but I'm recording. This recording is going to become the short reels. It's going to become a podcast. It's going to become content inside of our free group, the Clients Over Chaos community. You can access it next5clients.com. But you see how it's like, okay, there's purpose and execution and activation. She's producing right now. She's not consuming, right? So the second villain is hyperconsumption, overconsumption, long say nothing meetings, right? The third big villain is the lifestyle lie. So you keep getting sold, and I got sold this to the tune of, I don't even want to tell you, but I will tell you, a lot of money. I kept getting sold over and over again. Well, let me do this for you. Let me fix this for you. You don't have it right. Let me just do it for you. It's the lifestyle lie. If you want to have a great lifestyle, that's going to come from your design of it, not from somebody else selling it to you. You can buy pieces. You can buy components. You can buy elements. So for example, when you're in the Experts Network, you're investing in community, you're investing in curriculum, you're investing in having a coach in your corner at an affordable price, right? Like those are pieces. But I could never want what you want more than what you want, right? Shout out why in the chat if you're like, oh yeah. So like people prey on you all the time, boo, just like telling you that you don't have it figured out, that you can't succeed without them and all this kind of thing. And they're preying on your desire to sip Mai Tais on the beach and still get paid. That's not how it actually works, right? Yeah. So those are my three villains. But what are yours? What are they're not just things that you find personally so irritating. They're things that are sabotaging your clients. So what are you truly against? And when you think about the perfect person that you love to work with, who are you really here to help? I'm here to amplify excellence. I'm here to amplify excellence. So I work with people who already have a certification, who already have expertise, who already have demonstrated desire. They have what I call being in motion. Because with or without me, that person is probably going to be pretty successful. My job is to speed it up. My job is to add a little more confidence, a little more oomph in their step. My job is to help them avoid a bunch of costs and mistakes that kind of suck, right? But I am not in the business of making somebody want to build a business. Nope, right? That's not my person. That's not me. So being really clear helps me with everything I say, everything I do, everything I don't do. That clarity helps a lot. Let's go on to the next one. The next two are super fast. So the next one is actually consistency. So first we had clarity. We spent forever on that because it's kind of an 80-20 thing, 80% clarity, 20% the rest. So one of them is consistency. So are you using the same voice every time you speak? Or like if you're seeing, like if you see my content, I hope you're getting a pretty consistent vibe. You're like, oh yeah, I've been watching Manda maybe for even years. And you're probably like, oh yeah, that's still her, right? And I'm growing, I'm evolving, and I'm changing. Like I'm not fundamentally changing on a character level, right? And I'm not changing my voice too much. Visuals, I struggled with this one for a long time because I didn't think of myself as being someone who was all that aesthetic or all that good at design. Look, it's actually not so much about what design you pick. It's more so that you are usually like that, right? So that at a glance, the lizard brain can even see that, oh yeah, it's you, So you're looking for familiarity. Okay. And values. So if on TikTok, I'm showing up with a very different vibe and value to what I do on YouTube, which is super different again from our private group, then people are going to be like, every time you break in that consistency of who you are and how you are, it undermines trust. Because remember what I said earlier, when it comes to branding, it's the behaviors that are going to cement the branding. Last one, big one, character. Character. So, this is something that I've definitely studied more in the last few years in particular. Character is the collection of those behaviors and decisions that you're always making that are reinforcing and are an expression of your authentic value set. Whew, that was a lot, right? But think of it kind of like you're playing a character. So are you playing the character of who it has a story, or are you playing the character of a AI bot that's just a copy pastable something or other, and there's no humanity to it, right? Or are you playing there's all these archetypes of how you could show up. You could show up as like kind of that motherly love. You could show up as like this power boss person. You could show up as kind of the anti-hero. You could show up. There's all these different kind of characters that you can play. And, you see them getting played out in the marketplace, of course. But I want to really affirm for you that your brand, especially your personal brand, is going to come down to who you really are and what are your real core values. When people see you and they see that you're not perfect, that's called vulnerability. When you risk someone having a negative opinion of you, that's vulnerability. Conviction is when you risk discord, when you risk disagreement. When you share humor, right? When you share passion, these are all expressions of your character. So, like, one of the things I super struggled with was I was like, what is the role of family in all of this? I'm an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs that just like they never talk about family. They never talk about a sense of integration. They never talk about these types of things. And then there's entrepreneurs that it's like all they talk about, right? They just talk about it all the time. And I'm like, okay, what's my mix? How am I going to do this? And at the end of the day, character is what saved my patootie, because the thing is I was just making decisions about who I am as a human instead of like who do I want to be for algorithms, right? So shout out, like, I am me, as in you are you, I am me in the chat. If you're just like, I get that viscerally, like, it's okay to have multiple interests. It's all right to have different values than other people around you. I wrote a post that's like doing pretty well recently where I just talked about the fact that my husband is a stay-at-home dad and that that's a decision not everybody would make, right? And it's a decision that some people have really taken issue with, because anytime they see me struggling or they see me suffering in some way, they're like, oh, well, that's Chris's fault because Chris needs to, play a different role than the role that he's playing. And it was, and my whole point was like, you can't let voices like that dictate your decisions, because you're the only one that has all of the facts. You're the only one that has like the full 360 view. And, looking back on the criticisms that I've gotten from like people close to me about, for example, supporting the whole family with the business and like maybe that's not the smartest thing and da 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 da. I understand that it's always coming from this loving place, that based on the 360-degree view of what they know about the world and their personal brand, of course they would say that. Of course they would, right? So it's my job to decide whether I want to internalize it or not. I share all of that with you because that post had nothing to do with how to get more consults. It had nothing to do with social media algorithms. It didn't discuss AI. It didn't have anything to do with that. And it's one of the most prolific posts that I've had in terms of like reach and engagement over the last couple of weeks. And I'm competing with like a lot of really interesting content right now. So if you're trying to like break through the noise, I know it's going to sound crazy, but you really have to find a way not only to be yourself, but to express yourself. And I mean, express yourself, express who you are. what drives you? Where are you where are you in dissent, right? With everybody else, and that lets people choose you. Now there's a mix, right? I'm also promoting a business accelerator program that's part of the Experts Network. So if you're already in the Experts Network, good news, you already get it. But if you're not in the Experts Network, you want to go to accelerator.thecoachesplaza.com. I'm doing a promotion. And so then that promotion is going to be coming out this week in and among all of the content kind of related to that promotion. And so it's going to be a little bit of a pitchier week for Amanda's social media. But it's okay because it's completely aligned to the clarity of who we serve, what we're for, what we're against. It's completely consistent. I'm just posting on the same frequency that I generally do. And I am being very clear and I'm being above board in character. The reason that most coaches don't promote their stuff is they are afraid of character judgment. That was like 3 nuggets today. That is like, that's shiny platinum gold. Because your fear that if you say that you have something to sell to someone, you're afraid that people are going to feel like they're getting pitched, that you're just after their money, that you are going to be a negative force in their life. You're afraid of character judgments. And what I'm saying and why breaking through the noise really comes down to establishing who you are and expressing that more clearly with behavior. You can throw the pitch in and people will be like, good for you. Whether they say yes or no, they're not going to disparage your character because they see that you are who you say you are all the time. And of course you need to make money. And of course you're offering something of incredible value in order to make money. And of course, and it's just very natural, right? Who needs a little more natural pitching kind of going on so that they can have the flow that they're looking for, right? So by the way, in the Business Accelerator program, we're going to be opening the doors for that. We're actually starting next week. But if you are interested, here's how you get an invite from me. You simply DM me the word accelerate, right? So that's like your first application pass. Can you spell the word accelerate? Teasing. But seriously, if you send me the DM with the word accelerate, here's what's going to actually happen. And I'm going to show this to the people that are live with me. Oh, I think it's accelerator. Sorry, it's accelerator.thecoachesplaza.com. Yikes. Okay, so I'm going to show this to everybody. There we go. Okay, so then you're going to get an invitation to the Business Engine Accelerator. And so you just click a button and then you can open the full letter that has like all the nitty gritty details rather than making you sit through, 5 days of challenges and webinars and making it disrupt your schedule like crazy. Just, you do have to read it, but like on your own terms. I'm kind of excited about that. So you're going to open the invitation. We're going to talk in the accelerator about your strategy. So specifically, how are you allocating your energy and your resources to get the best possible outcome? We're going to talk about how you get more leads. How are you going to get sales? How are you going to fulfill without burning out, right? And feeling really good with your fulfillment. How are you going to activate leadership? So, I get asked all the time by coaches, okay, where's my VA come into this? I already have a VA and I never asked them to help me. So leadership is really like making the decision about when to hire or ask for favors or ask for help, right? Like that leadership piece is actually really super important to your success. And then finally, your energy. Do you have the energy to do all of this stuff, to keep up with the speed of today's landscape? And we're gonna talk about all of that stuff in the accelerator. So if you're ready to just do things that really matter, that's our motto, do what matters, and let the rest go so that you can have the lead flow, the client flow, and the income that you're really looking for, then let's do this thing. So you just open the invite. You got to consent first, and then you open the invite, and hopefully it'll open on, there you go. So then you're going to see this here that says, here's your invitation. You're going to open the letter and it's going to open this Google Doc. Okay. And like I said, it's a little long, but it's entertaining and well written. And it covers absolutely everything you would need to know to make a super informed decision about whether this business engine accelerator is great for you. And applications are going to be open through Friday at 5 p.m. Central this week. Okay. So we're doing an application process for this cohort. And the reason why is I want to make sure that this is a great fit for you. And it's also going to fit with timing and everything for you. So once you read the letter, the next move is to send me a DM that says the word momentum so that I know that you read the letter and that you're interested in the application process. It's a super short, easy breezy. I'm not working with setters. I'm not working with closers. This is literally just talking to Amanda to just check and see. And anybody who's ever talked to me in a sales conversation, you know that it's all about clarity and discovery, never ever about pressure. It's never about crazy tactics. And I want to make sure that everybody that is like doing this is really doing this and we're ready to go for Monday. Do make sure that you go to accelerator.thecoachesplaza.com or DM me the word accelerate and I'll send it to you. And read that invitation today so that you understand what it is. You can apply, you can lock your seat in, and then we're Gucci and ready to go for next week. Okay. So that's what I've got for you. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But next week, we're going to keep this party going. We are continuing on to week number 14 in this series, believe it or not, is we're going to talk about how do you scale your business. So one of the things that people never told me, they were always like, get out there, just be scrappy. They never told me that you need to have strong foundations upon which to scale. So you might get initial success that's a little bit of a false positive for having a really scalable, enduring, sustainable business. So we're going to talk about all of that next week, 9 a.m. Central. I will see you then. And until then, I hope you have a really awesome holiday. And we will see you in the Clients Over Chaos group. Just go to next5clients.com to get this entire replay. We will see you inside. Take care.